Stop your grinning and drop your linen. Here's your look at the Hiya Toys. This is the Aliens Armored Personnel Carrier. The APC appeared in the movie Aliens as a carrier for the Colonial Marines, which was released from dropship to explore the base where the aliens were found. After encountering the aliens, the Marines used the APC to retreat to a safe zone. What a spectacular looking vehicle. Looking forward to having a look at the APC. I'd like to send out a big thank you to the folks over at Hiya Toys who were nice enough to provide the sample that we're having a look at in this review. Sadly, it was a case where this one has sat for a bit. I haven't had a chance to get a review of it underway until we're having a look at it right now. According to my trusty tape measure, the APC from bumper to front bumper lengthwise is 18.1 inches in length, and that translates to centimeters as being 46 centimeters long. We're going to switch that back to inches post-haste very quickly, and we're going to put the tape measure to the bottom of the vehicle, sitting at the bottom, and taking it to the very top barbette or cannon on the back of the APC. We're going to stop the tape measure right there, so that I can provide those necessary 411s. And the height of the APC stands 7.3 inches in height. Now, keeping in mind, again, the barbette does shift behind the vehicle. I'll show you guys that in a second. And in centimeters, works out to be 18.7, a little over 18.5 centimeters tall. The Armored Personnel Carrier also includes a 3 3/4 inch figure, a Colonial Marine named Redding. Just in case you guys are curious as to how tall that one stands, I did say it was 3 3/4 inch, but if we just take the tape measure right to the very top of its head, we're going to measure that off right now. You're looking at the figure standing 3.9 inches in height, obviously a little bit smaller. And switching that to centimeters, you're looking at the figure standing 9.9 centimeters tall. Redding comes included with a display stand that you can put the figure on top of. One singular peg right there that you can take the supplied peg hole on the underside of the foot and just attach it in place like so. Just attaches just like that. And you can attach Redding to the top of the display base. The neat thing about these, as we've seen in the past as well, is that they also come with these eye brackets. So if you wanted to, you can take the eye bracket, put it to the bottom of the stand, and you can then take the additional stands supplied by Hiya Toys and expand out the diorama by adding additional pieces every which way. Nice little detailed display stand, just a little bit of a floor grading there, painted and brushed with silver along the edges there, just along the top. Again, it's a nice little piece, just an additional supplied piece that comes included with the figure. The figure does include some accessories. We'll have a look at those right now. The M240 flamethrower is one of the much relied on accessories. It's certainly the tools for the trade for Colonial Marines fighting xenomorphs. It's a nice little detailed piece, smaller in size, done in kind of an olive green color with some accents done on the barrel down below. It can fit into Redding's hands. We'll just look at that also in a second as well. And then, of course, probably the more popular choice, the firearm of choice, the M41A pulse rifle. Of course, the weapon of choice for the Colonial Marines. Whatever accessory you decide to go with can be just attached into the hand of Redding. The hands are fairly small though, so when you are putting it into the hands, you may have to just kind of pry them open a little bit to fit that into Redding's hands. The last accessory also that come included with the figure is a pistol, a little small sidearm, which actually, if you don't decide to put into the hand of Redding, you can actually just put in the holster located on the side, just like that, tuck it into place. It's a little snug, I have to admit. But dedicated trying, you can certainly find yourself putting the pistol in place. Like I said, it's just a little on the tight side. I know, you guys are anxious to look at the APC. I certainly am anxious to showcase the APC, but before we do that, we'll have a look at Redding quickly. A nice detailed little figure. It's got some nice camouflage done to the torso armor piece, of course, as well as the rest of the legs. The arms are fairly bare in the sense that they are short-sleeved, but I like the detailing that they've done to all the camouflage work here. Like I said, in the pants and the sleeves, it's sharing the same color of these greens, grays, and lighter grays. And then the torso piece, the armor over top that says Redding, just in case you didn't know who this was, does have a different swapwood of colors in this rusted brown, green, and black. Just a nice looking figure. Like I said, it is poseable, like with all other Hiya toy releases. The head rotates all the way around, hinges up and down. You can rotate it back and forth. The arms do hinge out, which is good. Almost, well, this one here at a 90-degree angle. This one just came up short. There we go. Fix that off immediately. The arms move forward and the arms move back. You can swivel at the bicep, bend at the elbow, and you can rotate the hand. I don't certainly want to seem like I'm rushing through Reading. It's just the fact I'm so anxious to have a look at the APC the APC carrier. I just like the fact also too that Hiya Toys for this release included an actual driver, at least a figurine that you can have piloting it, or certainly sitting in the back as well, that you don't have to worry about buying outright figures to stock up the APC. I like the fact that you do get one. Anyways, you do have articulation in the torso. It's a ball joint going on there. Legs go forward and back, out. You have swivel at the swivel at the top cut of the thigh. I wanted to say bicep there. Double hinge on the knee. There is no articulation in the boots, and then there's some articulation just in the feet. So they move up, back and forth, just very little though, and they also sway back and forth. So that is the figure that comes included with the APC. Not a bad looking little Reading that you can actually put either inside, piloting the APC, or it can certainly be one of the many Colonial Marines. Stockade, sort of in the back, seated area. Well, we'll of course have a look at that right now. Yes, unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to have a look at this before. It was certainly one of those things I put to the side with the intended plan on having a look at it, and it got sidetracked completely with now a little bit of extra time on these digits of mine. We're going to finally have a look at this impressive specimen, the APC, or personal carrier, from the movie Aliens. Now, in the movie, of course, it looks very large, enough to supply and hold all the Colonial Marines, all their firearms to battle the xenomorph threats. In actual fact, the APC was a very small vehicle. They actually had to make it look larger than life on screen. But it wasn't actually as scaled in size as it may actually appear in the film. When you do get it out of the box, there's no assembly required whatsoever. However, there is batteries that have to be installed. And some sad news to report, members of the mob. I couldn't get the batteries to work. I don't know if I actually have just old batteries. They seemed like they were new batteries. But I'm going to have to see if maybe I'll have to go pick those up. And not to delay this review any longer, we're going to have a look at the APC carrier now. And then, hopefully, if I can get some fresh batteries, we're going to then maybe do a follow-up video after the fact, and I'll show you guys how the light-up options work. Basically, what it is, I'm going to pick it up very carefully here. If we flip the vehicle upside down, there's a couple of different places for battery compartments. There's one right here, the battery compartment right here, and it actually stores 3 AG13 or LR44 batteries. You'll unscrew that, and this would have an on and off switch, which would basically activate the smog lights, the headlights on the front of the vehicle. The other place as well where there is a battery compartment, we'll just put that down for a second. We'll take the back barbette cannon, we'll just rotate that back slightly, and then we're just going to lift this up. This pops up just like so, and there's a whole lot of cool stuff going on in there. I can't wait to show you guys. But then the other secondary battery compartment is right here. Again, it's going to be taking, now this one here, actually, again, I think is still LR. It's LR44 batteries, that's correct. And there's the on and off switch, which would basically operate the light up at the top area here. Again, when I do get around to getting some fresh batteries, thinking again, I thought I still had fresh batteries, but I'm going to see if I can go back and maybe revisit this, put the batteries back in, and I'm going to turn it on, see if it all works, and maybe we'll do a follow-up video for it in the meantime. But we'll go ahead and put the canopy back over top. It's actually, when you do it, I'm just going to shift this slightly to the side. I guess really while we're in the market of having this off anyways, I can show you the interior of the vehicle. This is an absolute incredible sight to see. Now, while I may not necessarily be collecting all of the highest 3 3/4 inch Colonial Marines, I mean, certainly this can accommodate any 3 3/4 inch figure. So if, for example, you have G.I. Joes on the ready, you can certainly make use of these G.I. Joes. There are a couple of cool little elements I certainly want to show you guys. The main control console on the front here that actually does have a lever that moves up and down. Hopefully you guys can actually see it. There we go. This does move up and down. There's a lot of details done to the control console there. all the individual buttons and lights. There's a little screen and stuff down below there that all, in theory, would light up. This actually doesn't light up this area here, but again, it's got a lot of cool details going on there. And there's, of course, the seats. Ripley, ease down, Ripley, right there. You can put one of your 3 3/4 inch figures. So, for example, reaching office, we certainly just finished having a look at it. We can take Reading, on the ready that is, and just put it down, just put the figure down inside the front seat. There you can see. Now, it actually, when you looked at it, when I certainly was looking at it, it doesn't look like the seats are large enough. And yet, sure enough, when you look at a 3 3/4 inch figure sitting inside, sitting on that seat, you realize quickly, not only again would this be an ideal vehicle to be displaying your 3 3/4 inch colonial marine figures from Hiya Toys, but you can most definitely display any 3 3/4 inch figures. That could be a Scarlet from G.I. Joe, for example. So there's a lot of cool potential happening on the inside of the vehicle here. Another neat thing you can also do too is take the M41 pulse rifle, and if you just take the side of it, or the top part here, see all these little slots, see all those little grooves sticking out? Well, you can actually take it and you can fit the pulse rifle in between those grooves. And if you had enough of them, you could certainly have an entire rack of pulse rifles on the ready for when the Colonial Marines needs it to fight off the xenomorph threat. As we move a little bit further down the vehicle, there's a couple of seating areas here on the side. Now, actually, all the seating areas have these little drops, guards, I guess, that move down. The only thing about it, though, is there are a few things about the APC that are a little on the fragile side. Specifically, these, for example, are very thin plastic. So you want to be very careful when you are lifting and lowering this, but you could put 2 3 3/4 inch figures right there, and then you can just drop the bar down in front of them to keep them safe. Moving a little bit further down, we've got the larger control console. And there's a little chair that actually does shift back and forth. It slides back and forth on these 2 posts or 2 poles that are connected, screwed in place on either side. Again, you've got the full control console happening right there. I keep wanting to say control console. I guess that would be the best way to describe it, with multiple view screens to look at. And again, like this little chair does shift back and forth. It's not very stubborn. I mean, it does seem maybe right now, but if you have it leveled, the chair seems to slide back and forth, no problems whatsoever. We spin the vehicle around on this side. Now here would be the door. This would be the door, the escape hatch that would open up. Just slides open like this. And of course your Colonial Marines can go out that way. A couple of seats on either side there as well. We already had a look at these ones here, but there's another set right at the back area here. And there's actually a couple more even still at the very back area, and this whole back section will open up. I'll show you guys that in a second. But that's just the front half. 2/3 of the way in of the APC vehicle. You can already see there's a lot of stuff going on inside. I can't imagine how much time and care that Hiya Toys spent putting this piece together. As I said, this is something I've always wanted as a kid. The very idea not only of actually having the armored personnel carrier from Aliens, but also the fact that you could open it up, something that you could house smaller figures in. The fact that you were able to pull that off is an incredible spectacle indeed. So looking at the side of the vehicle, I'm actually just holding it for the time being. You have the large tires that spin quite freely, and there's a whole bunch of splattered mud caked along the treading of the tires. As I said, there's 2 of them on both sides. They roll quite easily. Here's the latch door that we looked at from the inside, of course, now on the outside. And this slides, like I said, just back and forth on this track. It's a little tight, but it still shifts back and forth, no problems whatsoever. We'll shift the vehicle around now to the back of it. Things that you want to, again, be careful of. Things like ladders, for example, are a little on the thin side, very thin, not brittle plastic, but certainly plastic you want to be careful of. That if you're not too careful, this could definitely bend, break, as you can see right there. You certainly don't want to break that. Up at the top, of course, is the classic top barbette, or the top cannon that we see in the film. Of course, this shifts and drops down so it could enter in the doorway. And this one actually works the exact same way. So if I'm just going to hold it like this whole section here the barbette spins and rotates like so. But then you can also, there's 2 treads or 2 tracks on either side, and the barbette basically just shifts down, drops down onto the side, and then like in the movie, you can rotate it like this, as I said, while it's driving through the doorway. While we're also in the back section of the vehicle here, this whole back section opens up, which the way they've latched it, you sort of have to start on one side, and then when you've got the one side opened, kind of then go back to the other side and drop it open. You want to be careful because the way it's latched, it's using, let me just show you, fairly thin looking plastic tabs. Thin enough, and certainly with my experience of handling G.I. Joe vehicles in the past, I can tell you like little tabs like this, if you're not careful, could most definitely break. While though that's opened, I can show you some additional seating inside. 8 additional seats, 4 on either side, plus the 4 on the front, or this side right here, gives you a total of 12 seats, plus of course the one at the control console, and then the one up the front for the driver's seat. Again, each one of these have the little drop bar, little security safe bar, I suppose. And again, these just lift up. You can put your figures in, 4 on either side, and then again, these just drop down. These are very thin plastic. I know I've already said that already, but these are very thin plastic, so you want to be very, very careful when you are putting figures inside. You don't clip this, you don't bend this in any way, because I do feel if anything is going to break on the interior of this, it's likely going to be things like this. Then when the time comes to close up shop, it's just on a hinge, so you're just going to lift that up like so. And it doesn't actually, when you first close it, it doesn't actually fully reach those slots. So you sort of have to lift it up a little bit, and as you're lifting it, sort of push the back, and then that'll fit in place. You can leave the barbette back there if you certainly wish, and then we'll just put this down, and then this whole top section, the canopy, goes over top of it. A few little things like the lights, for example, are covered and encased in thinner plastic, so you want to be very careful of that. Again, there's like these little things that, I know I sound like a broken record to say that, but I kid you not, if you're going to be roughhousing with something so large and spectacular like this, you really would, but you want to be very careful because, as I said, that can most definitely break. So we're just going to drop this down, just hinges down. So basically, there's like a few slots there, and the tabs are right there. Just put it in on an angle like that, and then just lower it down. And then you can just sort of snap everything. Snap's not really the best word you want to be using to describe things, but you're just going to snap and make sure everything's tabbed in place on both sides. And then that is the front, and now you have the finished looking APC. Here's what the front of the vehicle looks like with a rotating barbette. Here again, you would have had working fog lights, which are essentially just 2 white LED bulbs that would be projected out from here. Some additional details are 542-GMTS, and then of course a little bit more notable on the other side, 2D Sulaco. A slightly translucent window, though you can't quite make out the figure that's inside. And as I said, you've got full spinning wheels on both sides of the vehicle. Again, we'll just take this and spin this around on both sides. This side won't have, of course, the sliding, shifting door, but still a lot of details. Love the mud splatter. I think that's really a nice touch, splattering the mud just on the side, while really the rest of the vehicle stays still pretty pristine in its design. This is certainly one of those wish list items, things that I would have only dreamed to have as a kid. For me, at least, collecting G.I. Joes was where it was at. I collected G.I. Joes more than anything else growing up. 3 3/4 inch was really my style, and that was my choice of style, size of figures. And I've always would have loved to have gotten an APC that would have been fit scaled to those G.I. Joes. Of course, yes, I had to wait a little bit longer to pull off such a thing, but we finally got such a cool looking piece from the folks over at Hiya Toys, and I couldn't have asked for a better looking vehicle. The only thing that is a bit disappointing is the fact that I couldn't get the lights to work due to what I now realized are drained batteries, but hopefully we can rectify that pretty soon enough. I'm going to go out and pick up some, or probably just order some would be the safer route to go right now. Order some replacement LR44 batteries, put those in place, and you never know, we might actually just find ourselves doing a follow-up video to this spectacular APC from the folks over at Hiya Toys. And wouldn't you know it, I forget one thing to mention in this review, that the side of the APC actually does have a hatch door. Just right there. You can open and close that, and inside there's the pilot reading. While you can't necessarily go in there and put the figure into the seat, nor can you really get in there to get the figure out, at least like in the film, there's a latch door, a little hatch door on the side of the vehicle. I knew I was going to forget it, and sure enough I did. Still, one of my favorite scenes in a sci-fi film has got to be when Ellen Ripley takes control of the APC vehicle and comes roaring down the narrow corridor in the hopes of saving the fallen colonial marines. It probably also helped, too, that you had that really cool music happening in the background. The design of the APC is also still one of my favorite designs from a sci-fi film, and though in real life the APC wasn't as close to being the size it was in the actual film, it was still a pretty impressive looking vehicle, which I didn't think moved very fast at all, if memory served me correctly either. The neat thing about it was it did have the barbettes, that top turret cannon, that was able to shift down, slide along the back track, so it could fit in smaller spaces. Again, the fact that you could get Hiya Toys producing that on a smaller scale is pretty incredible indeed. This brings me back to the old days of collecting G.I. Joes, though I have to admit G.I. Joe vehicles back in the day aren't anywhere near the price point of what this one is being asked for. G.I. Joe vehicles on average were about $20 to $60. I mean, you might have the aircraft carrier, for example. That was, of course, the more talk of the town. If you were the kid that had the aircraft carrier, you were something to, of course, you would want to be that guy's friend. I certainly would have loved to have met a friend that had an APC like this on a smaller scale, something that I could have potentially put G.I. Joes inside of. This again reminds me of like those old vintage G.I. Joes, or even one better, it kind of reminds me of that vintage Millennium Falcon, where on the outside you had a fully realized vehicle, and then you could lift up the top canopy, and you basically had a playset inside. Hiya Toys not only gave us a faithful recreation of the APC vehicle from Aliens, but the fact that they actually have it where you could open up the top and still have a working playset inside is pretty incredible indeed. The thing about it, though, is that it does ask, as I said, a higher price tag. From what I looked at last, the APC vehicle on various online sites, first and foremost, are sold out. This one has been sold out for a while. And then on top of that, I think at the time it was for sale, it was $289 or just a little over $280. So it is a little more on the premium, expensive end of things. But certainly if you are a fan of Aliens, even if you don't even use it for 3 3/4 inch figures, I may not even use it for 3 3/4 inch figures, you just have a recreation, a replica of the one from the film, complete with things that move and shift on it, including the barbette on the back and the barbette on the front. Again, big apologies on this guy's part for not being able to showcase the fog lights that are on the front of the vehicle as well as on the top of the vehicle. At the time, again, of looking at this vehicle in this review, I wasn't able to get and source out brand new batteries. Most definitely, though, if I can get myself some new LR44 batteries, which would be easy to come by, even ordering it online, LR44 batteries are pretty easy to come by, definitely will be doing a follow-up review or follow-up look at what this APC actually does look like with the lights lit up. Still, either way, any way you slice it, what a fantastic, as I said, recreation, a replica that Hiya Toys was actually able to produce. I was already a big fan of the 3 3/4 inch line of Aliens and Colonial Marines, and now being able to actually add on to that collection with this replica, an exact replica to what we actually got in the film. I mean, it's one of the coolest things I've looked at in, I would even say, for the last few years, or even since I started reviewing here on YouTube. This might even be one of the coolest things I've ever seen. And again, I would have loved to have had this as a kid, but younger version of me would have not been able to appreciate the care putting into this. I probably would have been rough with the vehicle, and some of those little fragile things that I mentioned over the course of this review, unfortunately, probably would have been broken. So, older version of me, who can take more time and appreciation for things like this, can find, I feel, more enjoyment and more fun, even if saying that is even true. I can find more enjoyment out of this now than I would have when I was younger. Now, as I said, this one is long overdue. This one has been, like I said, something I wanted to review for the longest of times. So again, a big thank you to the folks over at Hiya Toys who were nice enough to send this my way. My apologies again for the fact I didn't get a chance to review this one sooner, but with a little bit of available time on my hands during this time of crisis, I did have some time to go back and have a look at some of the things I've been kind of wanting to get to look at and just never had a chance to. If you guys managed to pick up this one for yourself, congratulations, you have one of the coolest replicas around. Let me know down below in the comments section what you guys think of the Hiya Toys Aliens. This is the APC, or Armored Personnel Carrier, from, of course, one of the best sci-fi sequels around, next to Terminator 2 Judgment Day. This was the Aliens APC Carrier. If you guys are also new to this channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below, turn the bell notification on, and stay tuned, because there's going to be a whole lot of videos coming your way. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.